Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from Your Overwatch. I'm Eddie the Chump, and today we'll be talking again, speculating about abilities that could make their way into the game in the form of new heroes. Just like the earlier videos, this is a bit of fun for you guys to interact with. Be sure to let us know in the comments what you guys think of the ideas we put forward, and also add your own so we can properly nerd out together. Some of our suggestions will be realistic, while others are a little bit more imaginative. Smoke. The first concept we're covering is that of a smoke grenade. As you know, FREEDO, Liam and myself are ex-CS players, and if there's one piece of utility from that game that saw an incredible amount of value, it's the smoke grenade. In that game, its uses were multiple. Either taking a site or defending one, there were multiple opportunities to use a smoke grenade effectively. You could use it to block off angles the defenders were likely holding from while on attack, for instance jungle on Mirage A site, where the defenders could cover a lot of the ways into the site with a powerful one-shot weapon like an AWP. You could also use more than one at a time, to minimize the amount of angles as well. That way, when entering a site, the places the defenders would likely move to would become less in number, making checking and clearing a site much more efficient. Likewise, you could use smokes to block off certain entrances as a defender, either delaying a set play by the attackers if you needed to buy time for your team to rotate in support of you, or to force attackers to come through the smoke blind, making any subsequent gunfight much more in your favor. Now, as far as it could work in Overwatch, there are some clear parallels and some that might be lost. For starters, a smoke grenade would absolutely disrupt any long-range hit scan or projectile hero that is trying to pin targets down from an off angle. If you could throw the grenade in an offensive manner, you could also smoke off that hit scan, forcing them to move from the angle they've taken. Now, some of you might say, well, just doing damage to a Widow, for example, will force her to move, and that is true. But perhaps this grenade has some sort of auto throw, like a Discord orb, whereby you could ensure it was smoking off the target you wanted, at least for a short time. Now, to make it advantageous, you and your team would need to be able to see through it, at least somewhat. So in effect, making it a one-way smoke. Imagine using it offensively on a choke point like Hanamura. You could throw it down in the choke as the attackers in an attempt to bait enemy abilities. They can't see through it, so they might assume you're pushing, using Mei walls or hog hooks or even Rhine pins in an attempt to stop you. But you've waited until they've used their abilities and then go through. Its duration would have to last a while to be effective in that manner, but the potential to bait those abilities could help you significantly. As for defense, well, it could be highly effective just as it is in CS. Imagine the reverse of what I just explained. Throw it down on a choke and peer through it, delaying the enemy team and seeing how they're shaping up to attack you. You'd be able to alter your team's positioning in turn to really counter their approach. Imagine smoking off your own Widow. She can see through it, but the enemy can't see her, only the vague area that she's peeking from. Sure, it would draw their fire, but maybe that's the strat. You could even fake that play and have her take another off angle to surprise them. Maybe it's too much, maybe it's great. I just think there's definitely some scope for some sort of smoke utility in the game. Poison. There's also a lot of scope for a poison hero. Perhaps this hero is a support and its healing ability releases gas that heals itself and its allies while doing slow dot damage to the enemies. The value here is both in healing and in space denial. If the location of that hero becomes hostile in a direct way like damage over time, or by making any enemy within its radius weaker, like a Discord type of effect, although not as strong because it's AoE, then it could force enemies away from where you want to be. In a way, this is several ideas in one. I tried to think of some kind of blight mechanic, like the Undead from Warcraft 3, whereby a hero would blight the land it was on or wanted to take, making it hazardous for any enemy to be on for a prolonged period of time. Perhaps that's an ultimate for a poison hero. Perhaps it works similar to Mei's Blizzard, whereby an extended area becomes directly hostile, but instead of freezing enemies, they just become weaker to damage and take slow dot damage over time. Much like other ideas, there's a parallel in other games. Alchemist from Dota 2 has a similar mechanic in his acid spray ability. I think any kind of space control or denial abilities have potential for use in Overwatch. If you have any ideas of your own, let us know. Slow. One thing that could be considered a viable expression of that is a slow mechanic. Now, slow is technically in the game already in the form of Symmetra turrets, but they're destructible and a bit inefficient to redeploy in any kind of useful or exploitable way. However, a grenade or deployable AoE, that's a different story. Currently, Lucio is the top dog when it comes to controlling the speed dynamics of Overwatch, but what if he had a mirror? A dour and miserable hero, like Marvin the Paranoid Android from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. This hero could be the thematic opposite to Lucio and be able to control speed in the opposite manner. Call it atrophy or something similar. When a team would speed boost at you in an attempt to overwhelm you, you could just use Marv and his atrophy field to counter it. None of this is a knock on Symmetra, by the way. It's just a hero that is the direct opposite to Lucio, could help challenge his pick rate at the top levels, which isn't necessarily a problem in and of itself. It would just be fun to see this interplay, at least in my opinion. Banish. While I was brainstorming, I kept returning to some sort of banish mechanic. Now, by using the word banish, I mean a literal banish, as in the ability would remove targets from where they were and put them somewhere else. It wouldn't harm them, just displace them. The thing is, if it's too good, then it might as well kill them. Say if it banished affected targets back to their spawn room, that would basically be equivalent to a kill, albeit with no respawn delay. That seems a touch too good, especially when considering that I imagined it to have a Sombra EMP-like activation. What might be a compromise is a system whereby Banish force rewinds affected targets, like a Tracer recall but not to their advantage. Banish could be used as a fight broke and cast enemies back to the point where they were regrouping. In that context, it would actually be better to get a partial team hit, as the fight would then be split. I'd also have it take longer than a recall. That way there's no way it could work in their favour, as you cast them flying back in time with a cool animation on their screen or something, like they were falling through a time tunnel. Well, that's actually quite a lot of ideas for you guys to digest. As I say, they're just for fun really. If you like the concepts, even if you didn't, let us know in the comments section below. And if you feel so inclined, please leave a rating. If you never want to miss one of our videos again, click the bell icon next to the subscribe button on our channel to join the notification squad. You'll be in great company. Please check out our Discord, where you can find one of the biggest Discord communities for Overwatch out there. And if you want to see us tilt live for your enjoyment, please check out our Twitch channel, which will be linked in the description. And finally, please follow the Your Overwatch Twitters, where you can find updates about videos and streams. I've been Eddie the Chump, and until next time.